Well, I thought I'd make a video on this Lippert electric actuator that raises and lowers my canopy, and it's a great design. I really do like it. I have it on a 2015 Bennington, but I always forget to lower it, and this time I finally damaged it coming in on the lift. I hit it on the top rail there, as you can see, and I ended up breaking the gear. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. Here's the gear, and you can see there's a tooth that's missing, and this actually mounts right there. There's two 5/32 Allen head screws that attach it to the rail. As I was saying, there's two 5/32 screws that attach it to the rail, and then there's another follower arm down here. It's not powered, that also is attached. I found it easiest to actually remove the actuator from the rail. There's a pair of 1/2-inch stainless steel hex head bolts underneath the rail here. See if I can get a picture of those. Not sure it's working, but that's what's there. My big question, and I couldn't find anything online, and you'll have to forgive me because this is the first video I've ever made, was how to get this apart. And this is actually pressed in. It's pressed in one way, and it allowed me to remove the gear. And then you can see down in here, not sure how well that's showing up, but there is a rack that slides back and forth that is what actuates and rotates this. My biggest concern right now is the position of that rack when this thing is installed. And that's why I haven't put the pin back in yet. So off to the garage, I have another actuator out there I bought because I was going to put two tops up on this boat. And I need to see what the rack position is with respect to this gear, because the gear actually doesn't have teeth all the way around, and I don't want it to ground out on this portion down here that I'm tapping with my finger, and I'll make sure the rack's in the right position. So like I said, off to the garage to take one apart. Okay, I'm back in my garage, and I got up in the attic and got down this spare actuator. A company by the name of Lippert bought the rights. It's called a Power Arm. Their phone number, they're in Goshen, Indiana. Their phone number is area code 574-537-8900. And I think I had to pay $75 for each of these gears up here. They call them a pinion gear, but it's, I don't know if I'd call it a pinion gear. But what I wanted to show you, more importantly, is how to remove this pin here. And if you see on this side of the pin, there's no markings from being struck. But if I roll it over onto the other side, you can actually see where, try to focus, there's a little, my camera to cooperate here, there's a little mark there, and this is actually a little bit larger diameter if you were to mic it. So all I'm going to do is drive that pin out from this side, and then that'll allow me to remove this gear right here. Before I do, I'm going to check this angle just to see where they got it set right now. So just bear with me a minute here. Okay, I'm back. So as received from Lippert, this actuator, and noting this is the rear of the actuator, this is the front where they have their nice little power arm plastic, whatever you call it. More important was this angle, and I wanted to show this to you. I measured it at 15 degrees. So try to get the camera to angle, check that. So I'm at 15 degrees. So now that I know what that is, I'm going to actually go ahead and remove that pin. Okay, I'm back and got the pin with the serrations out. You can see my witness marks there from my little socket. Use this little 1/4-inch socket. Yeah, let's see, what is it? It's about a 6mm socket to drive it out. And yeah, let's see. You can see, turn around here. See the little serration marks that it made from the process of seating the pin. So when I reinstall it, I'll put it in with the serration sides first and slide it across and reseat it with the hammer. I'll probably try to get those splines, serrations lined up as best I can to the original ones, but it's going to be a challenge. But I don't know that it's all that important either, that it is lined up. So let me get this turned around here again, and let me just reorient you. This is the rear back here. This is the front. And I'm looking back down inside here, and I don't know how well this is going to show up. But I drew a pencil line right here, and it is in the center of the gear tooth down here. And I measured from the center line, the pencil line I have here, back to the center of the hole, and it was 5/16 of an inch. It's probably just shy 1/8 of an inch from the edge of that hole. So hopefully that gives you some reference there. So okay, and then of course the gear here, not much oil. As a matter of fact, no oil on the actual teeth itself, and there's no oil down on the rack, and I assume that's so that you don't get it on your clothes, because this part of the gear is exposed. But this is going to set right back down in here. Clearly that first tooth is what they want engaged in there, and when I do that, everything lines back up. Well, hang on there a second. Actually, it doesn't. I stand corrected. To get that 15 degrees to line up, I'm actually going to have to index it one tooth. Well, what do you know about that? Okay, interesting. So try lifting that straight up. So they basically got the first tooth straight down, and that's actually going to put the first full tooth there in mesh with the pinion gear down there, or the rack gear, excuse me. So like I said, this is my first video. I've never done this before. Retired engineer. Thought I'd just try this once. So hopefully this will help you out if you find yourself in the same situation I was. Okay, good luck. Okay, well, I'm back out in the boat again, and I've been concerned about getting, as you know, the rack in the right position. Right now it's not. I've got to move it quite a distance. And I wanted to make sure that the motor that I removed here, see, I got the new gear already on the end of the canopy, but I've also unbolted the one over here. It's still sitting there. Well, actually I've removed it, but sitting up on top of the the back lounge. But I'm concerned about having these things synchronized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug them in one at a time into the terminal right here and jog that rack into the proper position by using my switch here. And I'll do each of them individually, and that way when I finally install them, and I actuate it, the top's going to come up even. It's not going to twist or bind, and it'll also put the mechanism into the position it was originally. As you can see, I've already drawn a pencil mark down in here, and probably can't see it too well, but my 15-degree angle out here. I also wanted to show you that here's a gear tooth that I had to dig out down inside here that broke off, and I basically just held the unit upside down over my head looking up at it and used a screwdriver to jog it loose from the grease that was keeping it stuck in place. So make sure you get that tooth back out, and I'm referring to the tooth right here that broke off, so hopefully you can see that. So I'll show you when it's all back together here, hopefully in a few minutes. Okay, a bit of an update here. I retracted the gear, and as you can see when I move the switch over here, that's raising it. If I push it here, that's lowering it. I can show you what the rack's doing in here, if I can hold this right. Okay, so moving it that way is raising the top, and moving it this way is lowering it. And there's my pencil line you can see I drove. But what I want to show you is it actually comes to a stop in that position right there. So that is full down, and it actually stalls at that point. So that's what I wanted to show you. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, well, I'm kind of learning as I go here. I had one other problem I thought I'd share with you. That screw down in there threads into this brass nut that slides down inside of here, and evidently it got damaged a little bit and wouldn't thread on. It had come off when I was trying to get the top down to actually get in the boat lift. Well, the important point is the nut would not thread on to the shaft, so I basically just turned the nut around like this and dropped it back down in there, and it threaded on just fine. So probably some of the threads are a little boogered up, but it worked perfectly. I just wanted to take it back out and show you, just turn this thing around and drop it back down in that slot. So that's it. All right, well, we got it all back together. I'm going to give it a shot here. Okay, I say that's successful. Well, good luck. One thing, when I was inserting the gear into the housing in that 15-degree position, I couldn't get the roll or the axle shaft to go through the gear. So I hooked the actuator back up to electricity, and I bumped it just ever so slightly to in the forward direction. It allowed me instantly to slide the pin back in and then tap it in place with a hammer and a small socket. So hopefully that information helps. I couldn't get that axle pin back in without doing that. So that's it. Good luck.